This offseason, the Minnesota Vikings decided to sign Marcus Davenport from free agency to help booster our defensive line, help that edge rush, that pass rush just a little bit more, add a little different mix in there than what we've had in the past. However, as it lays out today, that was the worst signing, a terrible signing that the Vikings could have made. 1 year, $13 million, $10 million of that guaranteed. And for what? 3 total starts? That's basically what he's given us this entire season. He's been hurt basically every single week since training camp, since he's been in the Minnesota Vikings or with the Minnesota Vikings organization. Marcus Davenport hasn't really seen the film, and there's a reason he wears number 0, okay? Because I've seen it on the internet, all these memes and stuff. It's because that's the type of production he's given the Minnesota Vikings. Now, granted, he had one good game or something like that, but he really hasn't done much for us, and to pay him $13 million for sitting on IR just doesn't bode well for me, which is why we're talking about it today, because the Minnesota Vikings did have to add Marcus Davenport to the injured reserve list because he hurt his ankle. It's the opposite ankle of which was holding him back earlier in the season. Still not good news. Means he's going to miss 4 weeks. So, I mean, what? It was just a terrible signing, plain and simple. But there was also some other moves that the Vikings made today, like Kene Nwangwu returning to the active roster, and Jalen Nailor just might make an appearance here in the coming weeks as well. And this was an article on the Vikings website that basically said the Vikings have placed Marcus Davenport on injured reserve. Minnesota announced the move Wednesday morning. Now, Davenport had previously dealt with an ankle injury before playing the past 4 games, starting 3 of those for the Vikings. Now, he did leave Sunday's game at Chicago with an injury to his other ankle, like we mentioned. In conjunction with adding Davenport to the injured reserve, the Vikings did activate running back Kene Nwangwu to the 53-man roster. Now, Kene Nwangwu had been on the injured reserve with a back injury, and on October 11th was designated to return to practice, which is massive news. Obviously, we've been missing him in that return game and potentially even in that backfield game as well. Now, he played all 17 games for the Vikings last season, contributing mainly on the special teams as Minnesota's kick returner. He had 35 returns for 920 yards and ran 1 back for a touchdown against the New England Patriots. Now, in Kene Nwangwu's absence, Ty Chandler has served as the Vikings kick returner and backup running back, splitting reps with Cam Akers. Now, finally, the Vikings also designated Jalen Nailor to return to practice today, which is massive news. We've missed him because, look, even with Justin Jefferson out now, we need another receiver, another speed demon out there like a Jalen Nailor to add, to take the top off of defense, basically. Now, Nailor landed on injured reserve September 1st with a hamstring injury. Glad to have him back in action. It makes a lot of sense. So, pumped that Kene Nwangwu and Jalen Nailor are coming back because we might get to see Kene Nwangwu in that backfield for the first time since we basically drafted him or signed him or whatever the case may be. But he's also going to be in our return game, and expect those explosive kick returns to come back, which is what we need. We need to get that momentum on our side. Let's start with the ball at the 50-yard line compared to the 25 and stuff like that. Let's see what happens with signing or adding him back to the active roster, and also with Jalen Nailor. Now that Justin Jefferson's gone, Jordan Addison, KJ Osborne, Jalen Nailor, we should be just fine in that receiving department. But Marcus Davenport was a terrible signing. I mean, 1 year, $13 million. What has he even done? He hasn't done anything. Let's take a look, okay? His entire career, he had 1 good season with the Saints, and that was in 2021, when he had 9 sacks. Otherwise, really hasn't done much. The previous year, last season with the Saints, started 15 games, only had a handful of tackles and half a sack. He's already had 2 sacks this year, so I don't know what was happening last year, if he just wasn't good enough or what the case may be, but it was enough for the Vikings to say, yeah, let's sign him, and he hasn't done diddly squat for us. Like, at all. 4 total games played. He's only started 3 of them. We're going into week 7. Okay, so he's missed 3 regular season games. He missed some of training camp, I do believe, with the injury as well. So it's like, what is going on here? I don't understand it. I think DJ Wonnum is just fine, if not better than Marcus Davenport. We've got to see DJ Wonnum the past couple seasons, and when he's had to step up for an injured Danielle Hunter, he looked just fine. He was getting to the quarterback. He's an animal. I'm excited to see what DJ Wonnum has in the future with this organization, because I believe he can be a game changer, a game wrecker. I'm pumped up to see him kind of take over the reins a little bit and potentially run away with this starting job, because we wasted $13 million on Marcus Davenport. So Marcus Davenport on IR, Kene Wongwu, which is awesome, back at practice. Activated to the 53-man roster, going to be our kick returner. Might see him in the backfield, splitting some reps with Cam Akers, maybe Ty Chandler. Not sure what's going to happen with Cam Akers. We could let him go. We might keep him the rest of the season. And then also Jalen Naylor has been designated to return to practice as well. So maybe we add some speed back to that offense, get moving and grooving, and we'll see what happens next. You guys can let me know in the comments what you think about this. Drop a like and subscribe to the channel. It'd be much, much appreciated. Have a great rest of your night, folks, and Skol Vikes.